In urban Chicago, one sunny afternoon, a young thinker goes to the local branch library to meet with some of her friends. They're all part of a book club she's in, a meeting they have arranged through instant messaging on their cell phones and their social networking websites. She intends to return a book she checked out 2 weeks ago, learn more about the current book the club is engaged with, socialize with her friends, and maybe get a new book or something. Not quite old enough to drive, her father accompanies her on the trip. Upon arriving at the library, she immediately heads for the ThinkeringSpace to return her book. She places the book on the station and writes some notes, reflecting on the book with her father. At this point, her father tells her he'll be in the coffee shop, checking on the news. She notes who else in the community has joined the book's fan club and decides to join herself. She then puts the book away. Her friends aren't here yet, so she decides to peruse some of the other books currently on display. They're all part of the public library's summer reading list. She picks up a book, flips through the pages, looks at the back cover, and places it on the bookstand. The review comments from the neighborhood are intriguing, but not enough to get the book. A young girl hanging out nearby sees her messing around and asks her if she can have a turn. Happy to oblige, she moves on. She checks her messages to see where her friends are. Knowing that they're on their way, she moves on to the club. She places her card on the club net board to see what the other members have been up to. The club is currently engaged with The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. She knows, based on past experience with the ThinkeringSpace, that there are going to be a variety of activities that involve all aspects of the book. She sees the activities that the other members have been engaged with and begins to browse through them. At this point, one of her friends shows up, so they together browse the activities. One activity involves illustrating and writing your own scene from the story. They decide to move on to do this. She picks up her card and they shift on to the next station. Here, there are a variety of objects that members have been working with. She picks up one and sets it on the creation station, revealing the scene it contains. They take turns reviewing and discussing the different scenes and ultimately decide to create their own. She places her own object on the creation station and they begin to write and illustrate the story. They choose a background and then collaboratively begin setting the scene. One writes out the text for the story, while the other creates the illustration. As they do this, a third friend comes up, and lingering about, makes comments on their work. As they wrap up their scene, they decide to do something that they can all participate in. They leave their object behind for others to read later. They move to a round table where they are to draw the yellow brick road on a map of Oz. Initially, they all begin drawing independent roads, but soon realize no one has the right color. Working together, they discover that by combining green and red, they can make yellow. So they use each of their unique roles in unison to create their own interpretation of where the yellow brick road might have gone. Others color the landscape, adding grass, forests, poppy fields, and lakes. When they reach consensus on the design, they decide to print out a copy to take home with them. One of the group mentions a game they prepared for the space in a workshop last week. Something kind of like Mad Libs or Wacky Web Tales, except instead of picking words, they play act parts before they know what the story is. She grabs a story from Phototells and they begin. The story of the winged monkey. It begins with someone needing to pose as an angry monkey. She selects a background for a monkey and strikes a pose while another one of them takes a photo using a camera. They continue to take photos of each other in front of the backgrounds they choose to match the story. When they have reached the end of the scene, they play back the shots. Inspired to create her own tale, one of them moves off to the personal creation stations to prepare a new story for later. The others move off to the live action theater. Here they play out scripts in kind of a puppet show. There are a collection of video stations that all feed to one screen. They take turns acting out scenes in various locations. As they do this, the third friend returns with a new story. Together they decide to go back to the table and illustrate more of the road. Alone now, our protagonist grabs one of the discovery cubes and moves to an empty station. The cube she has is about science. She wonders what science could there be in the Wizard of Oz. As she browses through the content held in a cube, a theme emerges around tornadoes. Another cube contains a collection of ambient sounds. Yet another possesses short videos of the story told in many different languages. As she peruses the cubes, the third friend returns to see what she's up to. Together they explore some of the content. At this point, her father comes back to see how she is doing, and they agree it is time to go, but not before she checks out the Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Later that night, after she has taped her map of Oz to the fridge, she goes online to look again at what she and her friends did today. She posts a note to her MySpace page and sends a message to them about setting up the next convening, and to marvel that there was such a great place to go where they could do these things together. By presenting opportunities for kids to do things together, share ideas, and author in new ways, ThinkeringSpace aims to promote creativity and critical thinking skills for the 21st century. Focused on school-age children in public libraries, the project is part of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation Digital Media and Learning Initiative. ThinkeringSpace's ideas are framed around creating third places in libraries to engage kids in hands-on, heads-on physical virtual interplay and collaboration. These places will expand types of interactions and offer new entry points into library offerings. ThinkeringSpaces accommodate a variety of content such as existing collections, books, media, game, toys, and artifacts, community-oriented programs, initiatives of national organizations, personal expertise and interests of individual librarians, and work created and archived by kids themselves. A kit-of-parts systems approach provides a rich variety of alternatives for adapting layouts to individual library space needs and constraints. 4 layout configurations, based on a basic 10-foot by 10-foot post and beam frame, illustrate a range of possible layouts from the limited component set. The structural frame in the ThinkeringSpace prototype is built from Steelcase Pathways Systems components. Additional prototype elements include large-scale interactive screens, interactive tables, storage, and identity elements such as canopies. ThinkeringSpaces have an open-source interface management system that is compatible with off-the-shelf technologies. All levels of developers can create new applications in any one of multiple languages that can access socket connections. This enables platform independence and compatibility with various human interface devices. Currently, a ThinkeringSpace developmental prototype is installed in the Institute of Design. The goal is to better understand human factors inherent in multi-person physical virtual interaction and to explore how to create opportunities for kids to do things together, share ideas, and author in new ways. A scenario example was built around the idea of a book club whose members are celebrating The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The book club envisions a book return, enabling social networking around the book, a public book club portal encouraging social networking and activity, multi-person interaction tools for authoring and illustrating scenes from the book, drawing the yellow brick road, creating still scenes from a prepackaged story, acting out puppet shows in a public forum, and browsing content curated by others. The interface management system is a socket-based client-server model that connects applications written in C#, Flash, Scratch, and processing to interface the devices that include RFID tag readers, optical tag readers using AR Toolkit Plus, dance pads, web cameras, and printers, as well as simultaneously handling multiple trackballs and keyboards. In addition, multiple Wiimotes are being used to simulate touchscreens. The current prototype goal is to use behavioral prototyping research and observation to shape a guideline document that describes criteria for design and space layouts, protocols and programming suggestions, spatial adjacency criteria, and authoring tools and strategies.